Hey, so we're back, and this one here is how to recycle properly. You've probably been thinking you've been doing a great job for years by just making sure you put all the plastic in the recycling bin, but you could be doing a really bad job of it. And the first thing to know is that if it's not on the bin, or the council says it's not on the list of things that can go in, it can't go in. Real simple things like household broken glass and things like that, absolutely not. Only your jars and bottles. And the jars and bottles must have lids off. The label's fine, but the lid must be off, so it must be clean as well. But your glass and things, only jars and bottles. With the other things around the recycling, it all must be separate, so you don't just put it all in a bag unless the council tells you to put it in a bag, which there's not many of those. There were a couple, but you don't put it in a bag then put it in the recycling bin. It must go in there individually, and your lid off, of course. With your things like your plastics, your aluminium cans, let's touch on those first. Again, just like they're all good. Some of them say wash and squash, some of them say wash and don't squash. Make sure you check on that. But with your aluminium, just a can as it is, like that, is fine to go into the recycling bin, as long as it's not full of rubbish. They want it clean. Same with your tins. Don't put a tin of tuna or cat food in the recycling bin still full of tuna or cat food. They must be rinsed and clean. You don't have to take the paper labels off, they can stay on, but just rinse your tin out and stick it in the recycling bin so it is clean. The other things with your plastics, really important that you prepare these properly, and we'll put a link to the Wasteman's video up again, which I talked about the issues around plastic. But the recommendations, and I know that the councils are really trying to standardise this, because you can go from one council to another and one's lids off, wash and squash, one's lids on, wash and don't squash, and it just gets so confusing. So as I understand, they are trying to standardise the way that recycling is presented in your recycling bin, and the best recommendations they've got at the present time is lids off, neckties off, because these are different plastics and it colours the plastic, so just snip it with a pair of scissors, just get them, snip it so that it's then no creatures can grow into it. Lids go into the rubbish bin, not the recycling bin, because they're too little. They just fall through the machinery in the recycling plant and end up being swept and sent to landfill. So stick those lids straight in the rubbish bin. And then these bits here, they do actually, if it's they want them removed. So with this one, I can just rip it off or just run the scissors up. It doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can just get it off and make the bottle as clean as possible, like that, then that's our preferred way for it to be recycled. But if you see there, a little bit of stuff still in there, that just needs to be quickly rinsed out. Then you've got your other products, like this one here, which has got a sleeve on it, so a full sleeve. The issue with that is they can't actually see what's in it. They can't see whether it's clean or dirty, and that has now got different plastics on it. A lot of them now actually have a little zip on the side, so the best thing for recycling this one is to actually just rip that zip and take this whole sleeve off, and then the zip didn't work very well. Take the sleeve off, so that's off, the lid's off, the neckties off, and then that there is in its most desirable way to get recycled, and just make sure that it's nice and just well rinsed. So that there is more desirable than with all of that on there, and it makes it more recyclable as well. I do get challenged sometimes with the recycling, because people are like, oh, you're using perfectly good water to rinse your recycling out. Well, that's dumb. You don't need to do that. I have a system in my place where I've got a bucket under the sink, so as my products come in during the day, or over a couple of days, because I don't use that much, I put it all into the bucket, and then when I do the dishes at night, I just get all the products out, take the lids off, rinse them out, put the lids in the rubbish bin, put that on the rack to dry, and then the next day it all just goes in the recycling. It's nice and clean, and I've just used the dirty dishwater. So, especially things like your bottles and stuff, or your glass, peanut butter jars and stuff like that. If you've got a dishwasher, just chuck it in the dishwasher. Like, that's going to clean it for you. You don't have to run litres of water to try and get sticky peanut butter out of it. Or just do it in the end of when you're doing the end of the dishes. Like I say, dirty dishwater, then clean your peanut butter out then. Don't need to use perfectly clean water. Just got to be well rinsed. So it's really important that you learn what you can and can't recycle, and that I can't tell you that enough. Like, things are changing all the time, and it's really, really important that you make sure that you know what you can and can't recycle locally. Because at the moment, I like talking to councils all the time. 1 week they're taking all plastics, and then the next week they're taking ones and twos, or some have gone from taking all plastics to now taking no plastics because they literally can't find a market to sell them. So that's not, for them to stockpile it is just not a good idea. So be conscious when you're buying. That's the biggest thing. And in Plastic Free July, my challenge to everybody is always to do one thing differently. Don't go hard out and try and be plastic free and then get to the end of July and go, thank goodness that's over. Now we can go back to normal. My thing for Plastic Free July is to challenge people to do one thing. And the one thing you could do is maybe start buying your yogurt in a glass jar, and that could be the change for this year, or it could be just to make your own yogurt. Like, we don't, like, recycling is only like the ambulance at the bottom of the cliff. Reducing and reusing is the most important. So, maybe it's just this month in July, you're going to just have a challenge of seeing what you can buy that's not in a product that needs to be recycled. Take your own produce bags, whatever. Do one thing, make a difference, make it fit into your lifestyle, and then once you've nailed that, then look at the next thing. Don't go over the top. Just try one, do one thing, change it, becomes part of your life, and then next year you're gonna have another goal. But thanks for joining me, guys. I really hope that you got a bit out of that. Feel free to ask any questions if you want to, but your homework this week, go to your local council's website, find out what you can and can't recycle, and make sure you do it properly, because if we don't do it properly, there's no point in recycling. See ya.